insights, always gets it right. Sean's the wild card with a laugh in the night. On FolkLOOR, they banter about the latest fight. FolkLOOR podcast, stories non-stop. Tim Damon gossip, and Tech's new crop. Loud opinions, like a punk rock bop. Marcus, Jason, Sean, they never drop. Streaming wars and Star
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the FolkLOOR podcast. I'm Marcus Pittman. That music is loud, guys. Okay, there we go. Welcome back to another episode of the FolkLOOR podcast. I'm Marcus Pittman, CEO and founder of Lore TV, with Jason, who is the director of A&R. Jason from the Top Rope Farley. How's it going, man?
Well, I miss Sean.
I know, I miss Sean too. Yeah.
It's like be missing one of the three amigos.
Yeah, he is not gone forever. He is just away for today's show. So first off, everybody, enter the chat, get the chat going. Be sure to like and share and share this stream right now. Let's get the engagement up. Today we're going to be talking about South Park. We'll get to that. I've been giving a South Park updates on the distribution rights, which has been really interesting and fascinating to watch. But now those are kind of settled, and the show has started, and it's creating controversy. I'm completely shocked, by the way.
Yeah, who'd have seen controversy coming?
I can't believe it. And so we'll talk about that. But yes, I think that's going to be really great to talk about. And any other news and stuff you want to bring up before we hop into?
Well, this week I was standing in the kitchen, and one of my teenage sons walked up to his mom and said, "Hey, chat," and I and I thought,
I've used that in typical discourse too.
Yeah, and I thought,
it's becoming part of my typical discourse. Yeah, that's right.
All right, chat. And I think that it's really amazing and funny the way technology influences language and all of that. But the funniest part was my wife just said, "Yeah, what's up?" So, because they've said "Hey, bro" to her, and she's like, "Not your bro," but she responded to "Hey, chat," and I thought that was pretty funny.
YouTube started serving me 2 or 3 minute clips from Asmongold on current events, and I'm like, wow, this is a just completely different world we're living in. In terms of the way media is being consumed and that sort of thing. Like, I think most people out there that are probably listening to this podcast right now don't even know who Asmongold is. Right? They're like, what are you talking about? He's a World of Warcraft streamer, right? Like, he's a World of Warcraft streamer. He's completely really was kind of thrust into politics because he was going against the woke in gaming as ruining games. I don't even think he's truly politically conservative in that sense. And he was just talking about how the woke stuff was ruining the stories in games, and that thrust him into the center of this, becoming this political streamer. Now I think pretty much he exclusively does that, and he's making tons of money. I think he shares what he makes. It's like $50K a day for one stream. It's insane the amount of support he's getting. It's just the way younger audiences are getting their news and information now and supporting individual news commentators as opposed to big networks like Fox News or something is just radically different. It's a completely different world. So
yeah, they don't want an expert. They want someone that they trust, which is a different thing.
Yeah, well, it's not quite different. It's not quite different because you used to have call-in talk radio, right?
That's true.
So you used to, like, talk radio really was the thing, and you could call in and you could actually speak to the individual. And I think to some degree that still happens. I haven't even cut on my car radio in years. I was talking to a radio ad sales person this week actually, and she was like, 90% of people still listen to the radio in their car, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Playing Spotify through your radio probably shouldn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't. That doesn't. I don't know. Yeah. So, but I remember my dad had a late night job where he was a phlebotomist, so he would go to nursing homes at 2 or 3 a.m. and collect blood samples and stuff. And so I would ride with him sometimes because he would ask me to ride with him to stay awake, and we would listen to talk radio, AM radio, and there was always call-in stuff. I remember calling in to the country music morning guys. So their radio did have this sort of, and you could go and meet them local because it was local, right? So
Yeah.
there'd be an event or something, and you can go and meet them. So there was, so that's always kind of been around. I don't think it's too different, but yeah. And then I'm starting to hear some music, Jason.
Oh, is that right?
I it is right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for Jason's Trivia Lesson.
All right.
There you go. Just hard cut.
So here we go. I got a good one this week. I'm excited about this one. And it actually has to do with what we were just talking about. So everybody knows that Comcast launched G4 TV April 24th of 2002.
Everybody knows that.
And everybody remembers that it was pitched as a gamer's MTV. All right, so the original vision when they pitched it was that, like MTV, content would be provided by the gamers. They would send in videos of themselves playing games and people would watch. That was what G4 TV was going to be.
What year was this?
2002 at launch.
That's pretty prophetic.
Isn't that prophetic? But once it was launched, the suits and the haircuts started to get nervous, and they changed the programming because they said no one's going to watch other people play video games.
No way! Get out of it! Wait, stop!
No, totally true. Totally true. So G4 TV, though, still launched with its original week of programming because it was already made, and it was a week of recorded matches of the same video game all week. What was the video game for the first week of G4 TV before they switched into the scripted and unscripted programming because of the suits and haircuts? So
it was 2002.
It was 2002. So and they launched with a week of pre-recorded video game of one video game. So.
All right, I don't know the answer, but I'm wondering if I should take a guess.
You probably should.
Super Smash Brothers.
That's a really good guess, but that's not what it was. That would have been amazing. So
yeah,
but
that was around that time, right? 64.
What?
Well, actually, it could have been Super Smash Brothers because Nintendo doesn't authorize Smash Brothers tournaments, so
you're
it could
right.
have been that. Yeah. Okay.
That was one of the problems that they were running into is licensing the different video games. So I was reading about this yesterday and I thought, oh, Marcus is going to die. That G4 TV, the suits and haircuts ruined G4 TV.
It seems to me that the bigger an organization is, the less it focuses on the independent content creators.
Yep.
And even and it seems indisputable that the platforms that focus on the independence and freedom of the creators actually produce the best results and create the bigger IP. And then, but once they create bigger IP, that there becomes more jobs, more responsibility, and then the company gets too big, and then it loses touch with sort of, and that's like the consistent cycle. And so, like right now, like I feel like we're in the media landscape, everything is massive bureaucratic organizations.
Yeah.
And we're always wondering why we don't have anything to, nobody's making cartoons out of construction paper anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I was looking at a video on YouTube that was showing the pilot for Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it was made with $100. There's a dispute of whether the budget was $300, $100, or it just was free. They just bought stuff when they needed it, and I think that's probably more likely the case.
Yeah.
They just said, we're going to need a beer as a prop. Go to the store and get a bottle of beer. I think that's pretty much how that. But $100. And what was really interesting about that video is Ryan Mack, as his name is now. It's not Ryan McElhaney. It's Ryan Mack. He said that he didn't know anything about the way the industry worked, so he went and built it. He went and just pitched it.
Yeah.
With this $100, terribly produced, bad audio, bad lighting sort of thing, and they got a season from Effects. And the second season, they said your show's not going to go anywhere unless you get a star. Then they got Danny DeVito, and now that show's been on almost 20 years. It's insane. And so, speaking of shows that have been on for over 20 years, South Park.
South Park.
So, as you guys know, if you've been listening to the show every week, I've been giving you updates on the distribution rights, the lawsuits happening between Skydance and Paramount and versus South Park, the creators, and the acquisition of Skydance and Paramount and all these sort of things. And just all the complications that resulted in the fact that years ago, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, when they negotiated their contract for South Park with Comedy Central, made a sort of prophetic, sort of very aware as to how things are going, sort of clause that they own 50% of the streaming rights to South Park. It's a massive at the time. Nobody cared about nobody. I mean, you're on AOL, right? Like probably like AOL during this time, dialing up. You can't watch an episode
Right.
of South Park, but they fought for that and they got it. And now, of course, those streaming rights are up, and so there was a lot of options as to where they could have gone: Netflix, HBO, or they could stay with Paramount. And they just signed a $1.5 billion 5-year deal for exclusive streaming rights to South. I believe it's exclusive. I'm pretty sure it is. Exclusive streaming rights to South Park and new episodes on Comedy Central. So they'll still air on Comedy Central and then they'll go on streaming. $1.5 billion for a cartoon that was made with construction paper in their film class in college, and the VHS tape got passed around and eventually got turned into a full-blown cartoon, and it's been with us as long as we can remember, and it's still more relevant and more talked about than anything The Simpsons has done in the past 10 years. So obviously The Simpsons wins the record for the longest lasting show or animated series. Probably one of the longest lasting shows of all time, actually, probably by this point it's up there. But nobody, like, they just exist. It's kind of like a Pope gig where it's like, people just get that job and then they just kind of just come in and do the minimum and outsource the animation to other. I mean, it's just, it's a 6-month process per episode. And then you have South Park, who does every episode in 6 days. So from the time they start the writing process to the time the show airs is 6 days. I think there's a documentary called 6 Days to Air, right?
6 days to air, yeah.
Yeah, which is phenomenal, by the way, if you want to get into how South Park is made and that sort of stuff. It's unbelievable. Anyway, by the way, did you know that the promo video that they released for the new season of South Park was completely fake?
No.
Yeah, it was fake because they don't pre-record episodes. So everybody was like, "Oh, there's Diddy and the Canadians are attacking, whatever." And at Comic-Con, Matt Stone and Trey Parker said, "Did people think we pre-record episodes? Do they not know how we work?" And so we made that promo up. There will never be episodes about that stuff in that promo because they do everything based on current events, which of course leads to the controversy of their first episode, which was about Trump and Trump being Satan and a lot of. I personally, for me, too vulgar, across the line, a lot of places, too blasphemous. I'd say in terms of their episodes. Some of the episodes they really like nail it. Other times it's kind of like it's too much for me. But there were some brilliant moments in that, which I thought were phenomenal. The fact that Cartman was going around saying woke is dead and I can't use the R word anymore because everybody's using it, and he doesn't know how to live with himself, and you know what I mean, and like he tries to in things in Minecraft, but so really brilliant. Basically, he just feels despair because the one thing he was good at, which was making fun of woke people, everybody's doing. And there's no consequences to it, right? There's no like you can't, there's no like, and I think that was kind of the commentary they were making. It's like, well, I'm totally okay if I make fun of the woke stuff, but if I go after the president, then everybody gets mad, right? And so I think, like, if you really think about what they're doing, they don't. I think Messon and Trey Parker are probably the closest things to libertarians in Hollywood. So I don't really think they care about really either president. They might not have made fun of Biden and Kamala, partly because they really weren't on the air during that time. Which is one of the things to kind of mention. So they did have a Hillary Clinton figure. Routinely, especially during the first Trump South Park Trump Hillary when they were going after each other. So anyway, the news report started coming out about this episode. Everybody's freaking out. The White House had to issue a statement about this episode, which is, first off, I think regardless of your opinions of South Park and whether the attacks on Trump were legitimate or illegitimate or thoughtful or not thought, whatever, we can have that conversation. But the fact that the White House responded means they won. Like, can we at least say this is how important comedy is? An animated show that's made in 6 days, that is makes fun of everything and everybody, releases an episode where they actually basically copied the iconic animation style that they pretty much, I believe, only used for Hitler in the South Park movie, and they ascribed that to Trump. It caused so much upheaval that people had to talk about it. And so that is the thing, because South Park isn't a political show. Jason, you can probably jump in here because I know but it's not a political show.
Well, and I think it shows that that comedians, one of the things that's always been important in a free society is the comedians making fun of everything as a way to when it's working properly, it regrounds everybody. They go, oh yeah, that was silly, or but the jester in the king's court is an important part of the court, because as soon as a court starts taking itself, considering itself God and taking itself as seriously as God, everybody's in trouble. You've got to keep in a free society, comedians hang around
in the same episode. In the same episode, we need to bring this up. In the same episode where they make fun of Trump, they also make fun of Jesus.
Right. And
so
nobody was upset.
What are you more mad about, right? Like,
Right. And I think that was the revealing part is you
but I
didn't
think
have
that I think Matt Stone and Trey Parker are smart enough to know what they were doing with that. Because I think they knew the outrage was going to be on, hey, they're making fun of Trump, and not they're making fun of Jesus. And in that way, I think this is what good satire does. It's not in your face, but they basically made you say, hey, look, I think your guys' priorities are in the wrong spot.
right.
And they, intentionally or not, I think that's what it does. Is like
It definitely revealed that we've got some priority realignment that we need to do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm pro Trump, but I was more offended and uncomfortable by the Jesus parts than I was anything. I was like, oh yeah, he's the president. Of course they're going to make fun. I mean, it's just obvious they're going to make fun of, So to be fair, South Park did make fun of Muhammad as well. So it's like I said, this is literally what they do. But yeah, so continue.
Yeah. So, but I think the reason that you have things like South Park is because you don't have comedians with a sense of reverence out there doing their jobs. It should be the Christian. This should be the Christian comedians that are out making sure that everybody's stays humble, but unfortunately that's not, conservatives and Christians have backed away from comedy as if it's not important or it's not it's not serious business. But I think the reality is we take our politics too serious, and we need comics out there helping us realign our values through laughter.
I think that was
somebody
what was
other
great.
than these guys, because they're good at their jobs, right? You watch that 6 Days to Air and you realize these guys are good at their jobs.
They're
on the
insanely
craft
talented.
side.
They're insanely talented. They work really hard. They've earned everything rightfully. I don't think anything's been given to them unfairly. And I think I think if I was the White House press coordinator and I had to issue a statement for the South Park episode, my response would be the great part about the United States of America is that comedians like Matt Stone and Trey Parker can tell good jokes and they can tell bad jokes. And I would just leave it at that. I wouldn't even say which joke was good, which joke was bad. I would just leave it at that. Leave that up for interpretation. And then I would say the Trump administration is working hard to keep free speech free. And in that, even at our own expense, even if that would have been such a baller move.
Yeah.
And but I think we're always very reactive to the entertainment, and everything's always against us. We always look for the thing that's against us, even though there were some really good positive things. I mean, like the fact that Trump beat woke was mentioned in that episode. Like that was one of the key plot points. Is so that's how I would have framed. I would have said, look, the part of living in a free country with freedom of speech means you're free to tell good jokes and bad jokes.
Yeah.
like that would have been such an amazing move. But we've politicized comedy so much. This is what Stephen Colbert fell for this trap, right? He said as on election night when Hillary Clinton lost, you can watch that clip on YouTube. It was the moment he realized that Trump was gonna win the election in 2016, and Colbert's whole face, shrinks. And then you watch One of my dreams is I want to put together like a YouTube video essay on Colbert in the fall of the show, but I want to include that clip, but I also want to include the clip where he's talking with John Mulaney. I don't know if we
Yeah.
played this on the show. I don't have it pulled up, but he's talking to John Mulaney and he's talking about sometimes what keeps me up at night is really that I've lost my moral core. Like he also self-awareness that he knows he's just propaganda at this point. And I think if you tie that in with, I think he's lost a lot of respect from a lot of comedians because of how, a joke isn't funny because it's against the president you don't like. Like that doesn't make it funny. It's that's clapter, right?
Right.
Right? Isn't that what Dave Chappelle called it? It's
He calls it clapter.
Yeah, so it's just like you're clapping because you agree with the point, but the joke itself like isn't a good joke. And The View is really crazy about that. You can say anything on The View, and they'll just clap and cheer. But I think conservatives have a tendency to do the exact same thing for our side, right? So, we look at instead of looking at what Colbert is doing and Seth Meyers and the politicization of comedy on the left, we had a really great opportunity to find the next Conan O'Brien, to find the next Leno or Carson. And instead, we were like, well, we're going to get the opposite of a Colbert. And we went with Greg Gutfeld, who I believe is really talented. And I really like Gutfeld. This isn't a dig on him. But I think Gutfeld would agree that his show is a political late night show, a late night comedy show. Like that's exactly it airs on Fox News, right? So it has to be that way because it airs on Fox News. It has to be that way. But I don't think we haven't put any work in saying, hey, the left is killing comedy right now. They're absolutely killing it. It's dead. Now is a really great opportunity to just dive in and just turn the culture in another direction. I don't think we did that. We decided to go to the other side of the pendulum swing, and whatnot. And so, I think we've lost about 5 years. We could have been ahead of the game on cultural development, really, really far if we would have embraced that immediately.
Well, and I think you can't fight comedy with indignation. It doesn't work because it makes the joke funnier.
That's exactly right, man. Like that's absolutely it's like a roast battle, right? Like you watch like Kill Tony or something, and the jokes don't land. No, sorry, not that. But when the jokes don't land, sometimes you'll get a host that gets a comedian that gets really mad and just says, well, I'm going to roast Tony Hinchcliffe or whatever guest is on stage. And it always backfires on them. The audience boos them. The audience turns on them. So the indication, you don't, the sort of indignation is, it actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
And makes people like Tony Hinchcliffe and stuff look all the better.
Right.
Because they don't get mad or angry. They keep the jokes going, and it bounces off. But yeah, I mean, like even that show, Kill Tony, man, like there's so many disabled comics that go on that show, and they are treated absolutely equal. Like none of them are. They probably actually have it harder. I would say there's the standards that they have to do for a disabled person to do really well on Kill Tony. It's not, oh no, a disabled person came on stage and he's just getting laughs and a golden ticket just because he's disabled. It's actually a lot harder, and they have to take jokes that are way more cruel than a typical person that comes up there and there's like a you look like the so and so like a Wild and Out roast, right? Like it's not necessarily like they're getting attacked because of their permanent disabilities, and they're rolling with it. And it reminds me of what Shane Gillis said too, where it's like, using comedy for Down syndrome people, for example, Down syndrome, it's actually normalizing them, right? Because they have to take a joke just like a regular person, and they can't get it. They don't get to escape the the nature of a comedy club just because they're disabled. So,
well, I think that's one of the things that is so great about comedy is laughter is laughter is not something that you can gin up. You know, laughter is something that either the joke is funny and people laugh or they don't. So it really is a level playing field. And Kill Tony's a really good example of that. If you come out and you're funny, then everybody laughs, and if you're not funny, they don't. And because laughter is it's not something you choose to do. Right? Laughter is something that happens without choice. So I think it's a really important thing to grow thick skin, for conservatives and Christians to grow thick skin, and for conservative and Christian comics to work on their craft, right? To just get good at the actual craft of comedy and not worry about the politics of it all. And I'm sure that there's behind the scenes stuff that you have to deal with and all of that. But if you are good at your job of making people laugh, it's obvious when you go, the feedback loop is so short in stand-up comedy that it's obvious you're either good at this or you're not. So that's one of the best things about, and that's why it produces some of the greatest writers.
Well, that's why I think Kill Tony is such an important show. Again, I like to separate the fact that something's culturally important versus morally repugnant. Like they can be, you can be both, but the I would say Kill Tony's really important because you can immediately see they only have 60 seconds to do a joke. And it's not just about whether they bomb, it's whether they bomb gracefully. I was watching a clip of a guy, his name is I think his name is Tony No Breaks is the comedian's name. Have you seen this guy?
No, I haven't seen this one.
He's kind of like I can't believe I can't think of the name. What's the name of that really famous comic with the New Jersey and he's got the jacket?
Andrew Dice Clay?
Andrew Dice Clay. Yeah, he's kind of like that modern version, which Tony Hinchcliffe made fun of him for. He's like, Dice Clay, Andrew Dice Clay's already done your act. But he was so brilliant. The bit was so brilliant. And he was invited back. And he's just insanely talented. You just go, where's this guy been? Like you go to his YouTube channel, he's got 3 videos up, 2 of which are his Kill Tony appearances. you know what I mean? And you have guys moving to Austin, like literally moving from all over the country to Austin to get into that comedy scene right now. Like that's and I don't think we understand really, if you were to look at like, what are the foundations of building culture? I think comedy is like the very core. I think if you look at the history of television, in general, every single major franchise show, all the way from Leave It to Beaver, what's the Andy Griffith Show? It all goes back to comedy, vaudeville. It's I Love Lucy, right? And you just go through all these major shows. I mean, Breaking Bad, a serious drama, has the guy from Malcolm in the Middle as the main star, right? It isn't it isn't a fluke. It's a really interesting scene. It was just the worst show of the year, by the way, just awful in every way. But Suits LA, and I mean awful in every way. Not that it was morally repugnant, but that it was boring, and it got canceled. Well-deserved cancellation, just because of how bad it was. But there was this one scene where the guy, the guy who plays the bald guy, I can't think of the character's name on The Office. The big guy had the chili, supposed chili.
That plays Kevin. Yeah, what's his name?
Kevin. Yeah. So there's this really great scene because Suits LA is about talent agency, right?
Okay.
So it's the lawyers in the talent agency in LA, And so Kevin is there as himself, as not as the guy from The Office, but as his actor self. And he said that he wants to do a dramatic role and he wants to win an Oscar. And like that was kind of like the joke is like everybody knows me from Kevin from The Office, but I want to be I want to be a serious dramatic actor and win an Oscar. And they were like kind of like you really can't like that, you can't do that. But Kevin's point was sorry, I don't remember the actor's real name. But his point was every major Oscar winner is a comedian. And it's not a fluke that the comedians are the Oscar winners. And that is such a really valid point that I think we have to understand. But in order to build a culture that embraces comedy, you have to have thick skin, right? You have to look at a joke from a leftist who's attacking Trump and go, yeah, but like, was the joke good? Like, was it well crafted? Like, was there a semblance of truth in that joke that made it funny, or was the punchline just deserving of clapter?
Right.
Right. And so that's really easy to do. You can look at Colbert attacking uh, Trump or whatever, and go, yeah, not funny. And then you can look at Leno going after George Bush, or Carson going after Nixon, who's on our side, and go, yeah, but those are funny jokes, right? Right? Yeah, I didn't agree with it. Even Jon Stewart, by the way, who I think is one of the greats of all time when it comes to which everybody's trying to imitate and do poorly. Uh, uh, you know, he does some jokes against Trump that's absolutely hilarious, like his pizza rants and stuff like that. And like if you just watch him, and you go, politically, I think if me and him were sitting around having a beer, I politically think I would completely disagree on 99% of his worldview, but I would laugh probably 97% of all his jokes, right? And we would be sharing a beer together because he seems like he has an air of trustworthiness to him that a lot of late night hosts don't have anymore, especially like Jimmy Fallon, who, right, is always being made fun of because he laughs at everything. He ruins the interview because he just giggles. I mean, that might be his authentic self too, but his authentic self comes off as inauthentic, and so there's a lot of problems there. But then you have, and this is why, okay, I know we're just like kind of just chanting, but we have uh, uh, Josh Johnson, who just hosted for the first time last week, and this is big news too. So Josh Johnson was putting out, and he is putting out still to this day, even while now he's hosting, and a 40-minute comedy special every week on YouTube. It's insane, and a lot of it is just him talking to the audience. And now I came across him when he was talking about Trump, and I thought he was conservative just because it was during the assassination attempt, and I was like, who is this dude? I was like, and then I found out that he's actually not conservative, which made me like him even more. And I said in August of last year, and then again in February, the tweet I have recorded is in February, that this guy needs to be the new host of The Daily Show. And then he premiered last week, and he beat 10-year ratings records for The Daily Show. 10-year record ratings. Like he beat Jon Stewart in the younger age demographic, right? Which is crazy. Like that is a crazy, because Jon Stewart is still crushing it on Monday nights. He hosts one day a week. He's still crushing it. It's an insane thing. So at the same time, Colbert is losing and his show is getting canceled, and people are saying, well, late night's over, guys. Josh Johnson, a younger, probably in his 20s, I don't think his race matters, but he's crushing it. He's crushing it.
Yeah.
And you know, I think about, man, like, dude, this guy was doing 40-minute YouTube specials every week while he was a writer for The Daily Show, and then they started giving him on-screen appearances, and then they gave him the hosting gig for a whole week, and he's in the rotation now, right? So,
Yeah.
but all the comments were stop rotating host, give the show to Josh. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
one more thing, the night he premiered as the host of The Daily Show, at the same time he still dropped the 40-minute YouTube special, dude. Like, that's crazy. That dude was putting in work, and he was telling everybody, I want this job.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the mistake of a Trevor Noah, because they kind of Willy Wonka Trevor Noah, right? Like, he was a huge comedian in Africa doing political comedy when, like, his life was in danger from some of the jokes that he was telling, and so they brought him to New York to start writing for The Daily Show, and I think that's when they knew, we're going to make him the guy. But I think. I just don't think that Trevor Noah ever, like, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think Trevor Noah just got tired,
Yeah.
because he did really good during COVID. He had the highest ratings during COVID when all the guys were doing it out of their house. He was, like, crushing it. Like, he really understood the medium. He gained a big following, and then he kind of just, I mean, I don't know what the deal was with that. But part of me thinks maybe he was just becoming too conservative now that he lived in America for a little while. And he was like,
I think with him, the grind is different at The Daily Show, and I do think you have to be you have to have gone through the grind leading up to it and get that aspect of it down, and he just didn't have the opportunity.
He never,
he was a talented comic.
Yeah, he grinded in Africa, but it's probably not the same as
the
audience and that sort of stuff is just radically different. But I think you might be right about the grind, because it seems like Josh Johnson was trying to show he has the grind.
Yeah,
for the past year of doing those 40-minute things. So,
and I think with Trevor Noah, he was there too long and wore out. There's only so long you can do that if you don't. I mean, guys like Jon Stewart, they can do it that long, are an anomaly. It's the amount of work that it takes to put on a daily show, I think, is underestimated.
It's an insane hustle. It is a lifetime job, though, if you can do it. You should never have to worry about getting another job ever again. I mean, unless your network thinks somehow that those mediums don't work anymore, like CBS. I will say, terrible mistake on great job getting rid of Stephen Colbert. Terrible mistake saying that the whole format is dead and you're getting rid of the format, because I personally do not agree that a format that's been around for at least 70 to 100 years, like variety talk shows, just disappears. There's a lot of restructure and stuff that you have to do to make it appeal to new broadcast mediums. But I just don't think it goes away. Economically, there's a lot you have to change. But I mean, think about this: the amount of views. Do you remember during COVID the Good News Show?
Yes, yeah.
So that was the other guy from The Office. I don't know why I can't remember the names of the guys, the actual actors' names from The Office.
Krasinski, was that right?
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce his name anyway. John Krasinski. Yeah, so he did the Good News Show. That was a late night show if I've ever seen it. It was completely different format. There were changes and alterations and stuff, but it's still a variety show. And that got millions of views during COVID. And it was probably very shoestring budget. And then he winds up selling it, and then nothing ever happens. And it's just like a Facebook page now that just posts positive viral videos found around the internet. It's like obviously he knew what the grind was to do that and didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I think that what a big part that we do forget that the satirization of late night shows is part of what ended up undercutting it. I mean, the Tom Green show is the first to do it, but now you do have a whole bunch of satires on late night shows, and so I do think that there has been kind of a general cultural undercutting of the format by the Gen X irony.
You have Kimmel,
machine.
Kimmel, who just is anything anti-conservative. You have Seth Meyers, who is for sure a political satirist, and he's just moved the Weekend Update format to that show that he's doing. And then you have Colbert. And then the only two stars that I think really stayed away from that was in the modern age anyway, was Corden and Fallon. But Fallon, it was forced upon him so much so they fired the showrunner and brought in they fired the showrunner and they brought in the Today Show producer. So not even a comedy producer, a news producer to produce Jimmy Fallon post 2020. And so just a complete disaster on that end. But then you look at I think Fallon could be a really great talk show host, but I just don't think he's comfortable anymore because he hasn't been given the freedom. You look at like carpool karaoke that Corden was doing. You look at lip sync battle that Fallon was doing. Musical instruments, children's musical instruments. Like you can think about with the Roots and like all these bits that they were originally doing, that they were doing really on late night, and then they brought it to the Tonight Show. And then that just all went away, and it all became political comedy and stuff. You know?
Yeah, and I think when Fallon started, he was kind of the Ellen of late night, right? Where it really is. We're going to bring on a guest and we're going to have fun together, and you guys can join in. You know, that kind of, and that he was good at that.
Yeah, right? Because I think that's really him. I think he really is someone. Whereas Ellen obviously was not nice, right? Right? So, but I think that's really him. Yeah, and so playing games with the people, having fun, being goofy and silly. But once everything had to diverge into this political sort of stuff, it didn't work. And I saw a clip recently, and it was like a clip of all the late night hosts responding to Trump on the Epstein stuff, right? And so it was like several minutes of Colbert, several minutes of Seth Meyers, Jimmy, like all these guys, and there was one joke from Jimmy Fallon, and I thought that's exactly how it should be with him. Like you can't. It's the main news story of the day. You have to tell a joke about it, but it doesn't have to be the only thing you talk about. And so, but yeah. So we're wrapping up. I just want to encourage people who are watching this show to watch one thing. I just want to make a recommendation. Watch Ryan Trahan's YouTube series, 50 Days in 50 States. Him and his wife go to 50 states in 50 days and visit 50 Airbnbs. And they have a Wheel of Doom. I'm just going to summarize this in the worst possible way. But they have a Wheel of Doom. And then if anybody gives $50,000 to St. Jude's Hospital, they spin the Wheel of Doom, and it tells them, they can't use their phone to get to the next Airbnb. They have to use a paper map. They have to stop and ask for directions and follow those directions. Like all these different things that just kind of like can mess up your ability to get there in one day. And they just finished it. They've been doing it for 50 days. They raised $11 million, and the top 10 brands that contributed to this show were all Fortune 500 companies: Kia, T-Mobile, Airbnb. And I want to say, even though the series was about Airbnb, he actually didn't make a deal with Airbnb to do the show. but they wound up giving like $250,000 to St. Jude anyway. Like, and so he raised $11 million and ended it with this beautiful love story to him and to his wife. It was unbelievable. And I think and they raised $11 million. Every time you donated $5,000, he would read your comment. And there were Bible verses. People were putting their favorite Bible verse in. I mean, it was it's one of the greatest YouTube series, most wholesome things I've ever seen. And I just want to say that it emphasizes the point that the way in which the younger generation is funding entertainment is completely different. They're not funding it because they see a Coca-Cola commercial during an ad break. They're backing creators in which brands get behind the creators, and let them tell their story in a completely unintrusive way that actually furthers the plot. You know, when Airbnb when they have to like spin the wheel of doom, because a brand donated a lot of money, that brand becomes the plot of the show, and it's not. There's no ad reads, right? There's no. Be sure to subscribe to. There was at the end with the comments. People were like, "Put the code Ryan in, and we'll donate another $10." But that's totally fine because that was like that part of the. But yeah, I mean, just so go and watch that series with you and your kids and your family. Have you seen it, Jason?
Just clips. I need
clips?
to watch it.
Okay. So, anything else you want to talk about before I bring up the
Should I give the answer to the question?
Yes. Yes.
So for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, we talked about how G4 TV in 2002 was pitched as a gamers MTV, where it would be an entire network of people that sent in videos of themselves playing video games, and people would watch. And then, but unfortunately, the Suits and Haircuts said, actually, we don't think that's going to work. But they had their first week set up, and it was a week of recorded matches of people playing Pong. And it was hugely successful. People watching Pong matches on their television. It's before Twitch, but it basically was Twitch before Twitch. So I thought that's just a fascinating.
Was Pong?
It was Pong, because that's so they could get the permission to do.
That was the only one. That's so funny. That's so funny. I remember when like Twitch and all those YouTube, for example, had this problem really bad, where they would just pull content because the video game music, was triggering the algorithms, and it made it impossible for people to stream. But capitalism solved that problem really quickly, and the video game companies now are absolutely foolish to not allow people to stream their video games. It's their biggest advertising by far. So, All right, tell me about this band.
So the band this week, what they gave us, what they did was a country western song on an 808. So,
fantastic!
So we'll find out what that sounds like.
Out in the town where the Cowboys play, South Park kids making noise all day. Wild West laughs in a modern way. Cartoon gunslingers with something to say. Pixel dreams on a screen before the storm. G4 streams back when it was the norm. Joystick warriors, a new art form. Now we ride online, but they set the swarm. Frontier waves, yeah, they crash, they roll. Laughter's gold keeps the weary whole. From the hills to
it's got that Shabuzi vibe to it, doesn't it?
Totally Shabuzi.
Yeah. I actually like Shabuzi.
I do too. I just downloaded his new album.
Before the Twitch for the overload, G4's horse carried that heavy load. Comedy's a lasso, it pulls us near. Angling smiles, shedding every tear in this campfire glow. Stories and laughs in the midnight show. From new ways, yeah, they crash, they roll. Laughter's gold keeps the weary whole. From the hills to the streams, it's the tie we hold.
I feel like maybe it's just me. I feel like the lyrics have kind of in the past few weeks strayed to be better lyrics but less accurate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the lyrics
Yep.
are better, but it's not really relevant to the discussion. So I don't know. The band's got to work on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, it's been great having you guys. Be sure to go to lore.tv and subscribe and be able to fund a bunch of independent artists who are, who knows, the next artist you fund might be the next South Park.